Great. Well, we'll call the meeting to order. It's 4:01 p.m. on Monday, July 14th. And the first order of business is public comment. So we'll take any public comment that folks would like to make.
Is it okay for me to go ahead? Or
yes,
wait, I think Kristen's here.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe, do you want to go first, Kristen? Or she and I both, we're going to tag team.
Hi, everybody.
Hi, Kristen.
Hey, Kristen.
Hi, Heather.
Hi.
We're happy to hear from both of you in whatever order you'd like to go.
Okay, great. Let's see. I had some notes. Sorry, I'm a little bit late coming out of the field.
You're fine. You're fine.
Oh, let's see. Sorry. Okay. I think I've been here before in a couple different capacities. And I think as I've shared in the past, and I think you all do have a fundamental grasp of, the gravity that this building holds in our community, that the future use of the building will have an incredible bearing on the future of this community for a long time to come. I do want to appreciate Libby and Angela Rosa and Tom Allen and the amazing crew of custodians that have supported us in the last year to be able to access RVS and hold some pretty stunning, highly attended community events that have been absolutely essential and valuable to, I think, keeping folks connected, people connecting for the first time. We've had brand new babies be introduced to the community in the last year, via community suppers. And I think it's been really valuable for people to come into the building who, have never been in the building ever before. And I think to give people the opportunity for new experiences in the building that are really helping people conceive of what's possible. And really my main point I just wanted to bring to the board today is just to convey how activated the Roxbury community is and really poised to help identify the best future use of the building and really, really explore that. And while I think probably for some, it maybe feels like this process has been going on for quite some time, it's been pretty experimental. And, the timeline, I think for a lot of us still feels pretty short. Not much time has passed, especially given just all the time to kind of react and attempt to organize and pull in lots of different perspectives. But I did want to just bring to light for you a few different initiatives that have gotten underway since the last time, at least I was really coming to board meetings. For one, I wanted to highlight the process with the Vermont Council on Rural Development, and Roxbury was chosen to have a pretty extensive multi-month community visioning process, of which, in the building, there was standing room only. Our VCRD reps, maybe they say this to everybody, I'd like to think not, but said that they have never seen as many residents, certainly percentage-wise, show up to a first kickoff meeting and answer questions and have hard discussions and begin the process of identifying priorities for the community, and that process, resulted in two community determined task forces, one of which has been charged with the task of reimagining RVS. Some of you might remember there was a group last year that was kind of moving through a process, and I feel like that process has been kind of re-upped and with a bit of a different approach. And given the fact that it's really kind of coming as like a charge from the community at large, at least those who participated in numbers through the VCRD process. And that group we're looking at ownership and management models across Vermont, beyond, throughout the country, that have really, successfully readapted municipal buildings and retained them as valuable assets within communities. The group is beginning to, with the support from VCRD, with Preservation Trust of Vermont, to look at, municipally readapted buildings that have been just very successful. Invitations are being extended to our Roxbury Select Board members. This is a group of really, really activated folks. And I just wanted you to be aware of that. Our planning commission is amid a municipal planning grant where they are looking at kind of a village redevelopment project, and we are working with, which I think probably many of you know, but GBA Architecture, based in Montpelier, as a consultancy in that work, and given kind of this process with VCRD, they are making kind of the redevelopment of the school a focal point for their work, and we're awaiting a presentation from them sometime soon. And I think, as you all know, there was an advisory vote on town meeting day, which it was a landslide, that, the population of Roxbury, at least those who attended town meeting, strongly supported the idea of the town taking ownership of the building. So all this to say, I just want to make it abundantly clear to the board that Roxbury community members are deeply invested in the fate of the building. I will say, even to those of us who have been trying to pay very close attention to this process, I'm sure I'm over my time. I can't see you guys right now because I'm looking at some notes, but even to those of us who have been trying to pay very close attention to this process have felt very much in the dark. And the last few weeks have been a veritable roller coaster of unexpected information coming in. And I just want to reiterate, as I think I've said in the past, that I think this board, our select board, our communities have an opportunity to model what a fair and equitable transfer of a closed school building looks like in Vermont. Hasn't happened in some time. We're kind of the most recent, in modern Vermont history. And I really think it's important that we take it to heart, that we model doing this the best that we can. And I would like to thank Libby, who has filled in a lot of blanks for us over the last couple of weeks. I don't think there's a question we've asked of Libby that she hasn't answered at length and in short order. So I want to appreciate that. I think that I would like to request more proactive transparency versus reactive responding. This is a huge question and swing topic for this community. And I would like and this goes for both our select board and the school board, to figure out if there's a way for more information to more consistently be shared with the community. Because in kind of listening back to some board meetings, it seemed like there was a desire to make sure that there was no surprises in this process. And there have been a lot of surprises in the last couple of weeks. So I'd just like to ask the board and Libby is just how can we ensure that we're receiving consistent updates while following open meeting law, et cetera, around real estate transactions, but how can we get proactively shared information? And my last request is if there can be a second public comment period added to the end of this meeting, given that there may be a vote, and it would be ideal for community members to be able to respond to whatever action the board may choose to take. That's it. Thank you.
Thanks, Kristen. We'll keep going with public comment before we make any proposals to amend the agenda. So we'll just keep going with public comment for now.
Sorry, I can't see everyone either. So, okay. Thanks, Mia. I just wanted to reiterate or build actually on what Kristen said. And as Kristen said, out of the process that we did with rural development, the town, we had huge participation and people clearly chose through a whole lovely facilitation process, the future of the RVS building as one of our priorities. And so two work groups were formed, one of them totally dedicated to the future of RVS. That group has been meeting since April when the transition happened from the rural development back into Roxbury's hands. And that group of folks has been working over the last 2 months to figure out how we can be useful to the select board and to the process in the town of imagining different uses of our building, of the RVS building. And meanwhile, really grateful to collaborate with the district on having the after school program housed there. And you all know how wildly successful that's been. Our monthly dinners have been increasingly successful. Our task forces have been meeting in that building. We had a silent disco and a slide into summer and a play that Bridges put on with lots of support from the community. We had a 2-day barn quilting community lunch event. And so again, we're really determined that the RVS building is just a resource to our community that we are not that's very important to us and then we don't want to lose. And so we're really interested as the group, we've gone to our select board and asked the select board for updates, and we in turn have provided updates to our select board about what we're doing. And so it felt like it would be helpful for us to do the same to the school board, which is in part why we're here today. And we also recognize that because this is a real estate transaction, there are things that have to be discussed in executive session. There's a lot of back and forth. I also think, just speaking for myself, I think that this is not a typical real estate transaction. And I know that doesn't, you all know what governs what you can share and what you can't. But I just want to reiterate the desire for as much information as you can share to be shared, because it will help all of us. Because I think we all have the same goal. And we really want to work together. So community members, the RVS Reimagined Task Force. And so I'm wondering, I have just like a process question to add on top of Kristen's question, which is just curiosity about whether the board, just like what your process will be in terms of, can you clarify what you might be voting on today when you go into executive session? And reiterating that if you could either return to update the public about what direction you choose to take if such a thing were to happen, or create just a really clear communication map, because there's a lot of folks who are really dedicated to trying to be really respectful and clear about what's happening and figure out what our role is. And so the more information we have, the more effectively we can do that. Thank you.
Thank you, Heather. Let's keep public comment going, and then we can certainly ground the meeting in its purpose. See, there's a few other members of the community just leaving space in case you'd like to use public comment time. Okay, we can certainly add another public comment at the end of the meeting, so we can go ahead and add that to the agenda. The purpose of today's meeting is for the board to receive legal advice from our legal counsel on this real estate transaction. And that's the reason for going into executive session, because we are in a negotiation. And so we need to go into executive session to hear the advice of our lawyer without, giving anything away that would compromise the district. And if there is anything that the board is going to decide about the real estate transaction, we actually can't make any of those decisions in executive session. We do need to come out of executive session and make any votes that are going to have an impact. So those will be done in the open meeting, in the public meeting, when we are finished with executive session. I have no idea how long our executive session is going to take. And so I say thank you in advance for hanging on and being with us, because I have a feeling you all will still be here when we come back out. And that is fantastic. When we come back out, we will do our best to communicate everything that we are able to. I'm certain of that. That would be the purpose and value of making those decisions outside of executive session and taking a vote outside of executive session. And I think with that, we should probably move board members with our lawyer and Libby into executive session. On the agenda, there are 2 motions that we need to make. If we have a board member who's got those up in front of you, I'd appreciate a board member please making the first motion.
I have it, Mia.
Thanks, Tim.
I move to find that premature general public knowledge regarding the board's confidential attorney-client communications made for the purpose of providing professional legal services to the body would clearly place the board at a substantial disadvantage if discussed in public.
That's a motion. Is there a second?
I'll second.
I'll second that.
Okay, thanks. I think that was Casey first. Any discussion about that motion? Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Great. Any opposed? Okay, we have a second motion.
I'll do it again. I move to enter executive session for the purpose of confidential attorney-client communications made for the purpose of providing professional legal services to the body under the provisions of Title I, Section 313A1F of the Vermont statutes. Confidential attorney-client communications made for the purpose of providing professional legal services to the body.
Thanks, Tim. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Thanks, Casey. Any discussion about the second motion? Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, so we will enter executive session. Okay, do we have someone to make a motion?
I can give it a try. I'll move that we empower the superintendent to negotiate a purchase and sale agreement with the town of Roxbury, consistent with guidance discussed in executive session.
Thank you, Tim. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Any discussion among board members? Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? Okay, hearing none, the motion passes. And we did add a second public comment at the end of the meeting. To make room for any other comments or questions from the public.
Hi, this is Kristen. I will raise my virtual hand with forgetting where that button is. Yeah, I would just repeat my request that there be as much proactive, transparent communication as possible throughout this negotiation, such that community members can be apprised as to the proceedings.
Yep.
And that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you, Kristen. Heather, are you raising your hand? No, I don't think so. Or maybe. One never knows with the Zoom buttons. All right. Well, thank you, everyone. We, as a
I'm
school
sorry.
board. Oh,
I'm so sorry. I'm on my phone.
don't apologize. It's quite all right.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I kind of wanted to reiterate what Kristen said, but I just want to say, yeah, that it will be so helpful to this, the community at large, and particularly to the Reimagining RVS task force, who are really made up of a lot of concerned different groups that have really been building connection with and receiving a lot of great resource from grants and partners around the state. And we're just really ready to be as engaged as we can with the process of making sure that Roxbury has our school building. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Heather. I'll just close the meeting by reiterating that as a school board, we determined back in the fall of 2024 that the district no longer had an educational use for the building, which is why we have put it as an offer to the town. And we're in negotiation, the town's lawyer and the district's lawyer, on what the sale looks like. And so it is ultimately the town's decision as to whether or not they will accept the building with the terms of the, under the terms of the merger agreement. It is on us to offer the building for $1, and now it is up to the town to decide whether or not to accept the building. So, and that's where we find ourselves right now. It's the town deciding whether or not to do it. Oh, okay. One more comment from Heather. Oh, you had it.
Never do this on my phone for this reason. I'm just wondering if, I don't know if it's allowed in public comment to ask a question, but I just was wondering if you could, if there's an answer to the question of what happens if this current iteration of what will be offered in your negotiation to the select board is not accepted by the select board.
Yeah, generally we don't answer questions during public comment. However, that's something that I could just reiterate. It's in the merger agreement that if the town declines, then the district will put still owns the building and will put it out to sale and can decide, how to put it out as a commercial property for sale.
Thank you.
If we're still in public comment, I would just like to add that if those become the circumstances where the select board decides not to accept the building, I would strongly request that the school board come to the Roxbury community, given the vast amount of interest and dedicated time and energy to think about what the best readopted use of the building could be, that the board would not go to, commercial real estate at large prior to coming to the community to getting our insights. We have a select board of 5, and they may do their best to represent the community at large. However, that's not wholly possible. So I would just request that you do take the really important step to coming back to the community and receiving guidance and input before putting the building for sale. Thank you.
Great. Thank you, Kristen. And thank you all. Is there a motion to adjourn?
I'll move that we adjourn.
There a second?
I'll second.
Any discussion?
Just thanking Mark and Libby for all their work on this.
Yes, ditto to that. All right, all those in favor of adjourning, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay. Thank you, everyone.